My name is Jude D'Souza. I'm 43 years old, born and raised in Bahrain, ethnically Indian, but spent my whole life in Bahrain. So I'm a third culture individual with one foot in Bahrain and one foot in India. But I've spent most of my life here in Bahrain. I was born in Sigaya in 1980, and we have a lot of fond memories of life back then, with our parents, with our friends, with our school, and it seems like a very long time ago, but sometimes it feels that it was like yesterday. It's the amount of happiness and memories that we have in Bahrain is something priceless for us. It's something that we still talk about till today, and we are connected to the sand, to the land, to the sea. Everything about us is inherently Bahraini. Ever since we were growing up, I think Bahrain is one of the few places maybe in the world that has historically different cultures as part of the native system, and it reflects in the culture, it reflects in the language, it reflects in the lifestyles. I think it's been a tolerant place since the beginning, you know, and it's a land that welcomes anyone and everyone, and not just welcomes but also makes them feel at home. Within the people who are not Bahraini, they usually talk about the 2-year rule. If you live here for more than 2 years, you will never leave, and that's the kind of attraction and I guess magic that the place has with everyone's life. There are lots of people that we know from maybe 40-50 years ago that still talk. Some of them are not here anymore, and they still talk about, you know, how life was back then, how many memories they created. And I've traveled all around the world, especially as part of my business, and in every trip you usually meet somebody who's connected to Bahrain, and usually we don't know these people, and when they hear Bahrain, they'll either have a friend, or they would have stayed there themselves, or they would have had their parents or someone staying that's connecting them to Bahrain. It's a very tolerant place, very open place. It's a place that welcomes everybody, and it's also a place that doesn't let anyone go. You know, it keeps them here because it's home for many people. For me, it's been a little bit different. Born and raised here, so we grew up on the streets. Today, even when I get my company guests that come into Bahrain, and we usually have to go from one meeting to the other, I never usually take the straight roads. I always take the shortcuts, and they always ask me, how do you know these shortcuts? It's like when we were kids and we used to get on our bicycles and just travel all around and ride all around, and that's how we know the place. I mean, the interaction also has been there with Bahraini culture. We have tons of Bahraini friends, very close friends, very close to our family. They've played a big influence also on us. I think in return also we played a big influence on them. There is no doubt that the openness of Bahrain can be, it's there for everyone to see. And like I said, you know, if you meet, I usually meet someone who's always connected to this place, and it's very, I think the openness attracts them, and it's evident in the culture. I think Bahrain has been, because it's been so open since the ancient times, sometimes there's a very fine line between what these cultures are. You know, sometimes they look and sound and feel similar. So I think in my case, because we're a product of two cultures, we see the similarities more than we see the differences, and it's not that different from either culture, you know, in terms of the language, in terms of the food, in terms of how you live, in terms of the family ties. I think that's the most important thing that connects Bahraini culture to the Indian culture, for example. The family tie is so important. Everybody needs together and needs to be together for as long as possible. And I think that love between the family is the root of society. It's still very much in Bahrain, even though we're in the 21st century. It's still very much in India, whether you're in the 21st century. So I think that's the biggest bridge between the cultures. And I mean, personally, I don't see that many differences. I feel it's quite similar. Customs for sure are they're always going to be different because it's culturally led, and I mean we've been growing up around Bahraini families, Bahraini friends. We've been invited into their houses. We celebrate Eid with them. We celebrate. Sometimes we observe Ramadan with them. And any festive occasion that we get to spend more time with them since we were kids helped us to understand more about Bahraini culture. And I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it allows us to see from a different perspective and opinion of how a culture can be a bit different but also can be similar to, especially in my case. Now, food is a big part of our culture. It's a big part of our lifestyle, and I think it's the one thing that always unites people, good food. As far as Bahraini food is concerned, for me personally, the single most defining idea of Bahraini food is always going to be prawn majboos. It's something that we attracted us as we were kids when we celebrated our festivals with Bahraini friends and family. It's something that has a lot of nostalgic memory for us. It's also in the sweets, especially during Ramadan time. You know, the amount of sweets we used to get at home from our Bahraini friends was incredible. But we finished it all every year. Very close to our heart, food. And I think food in any person's life defines many stages of their life. And for us, it's definitely defines anything and everything about our life in Bahrain. So ethnically, we are Indian. So it's natural that we grew up in an Indian environment. Having said that, even within the Indian culture, we are from a subculture which has some sort of Portuguese ancestry or heritage to it, history to it. So it's a different kind of subculture from the west side of India, west coast of India. We grew up in that. But then as we were in school, we got exposed to different types of communities. I went to Sacred Heart School. It was a school where all types of nationalities were there. We had Bahraini friends, we had Spanish friends, Irish friends, we had Filipino friends, we had Portuguese friends, we had so many different types of friends. And it wasn't really a very difficult thing to accept culture because it was all around us in different people in different ways. And I think that is the essence of Bahrain, you know, the openness towards communities, the tolerance of acceptance of communities. There is usually nothing much asked about where you are from unless it's only for an interest purpose and nothing else. So that tolerance level really shows. It even shows till today. We are Roman Catholic, so you know, going to church is a big part of our lifestyle. And Bahrain had the first Roman Catholic church in the whole of GCC. It's a historic church, and even I think last year, I think the Pope even visited Bahrain. It's such a big thing. So the different religions as well is proof of that coexistence. And Bahrain is a beacon, there's no doubt about it. It's a role model to the whole world of how different communities coexist, different religions coexist with no issue, with no problem. I think a lot of that has to do with the leadership and how they see Bahrain and how they want to portray Bahrain, and that travels a long way, and it attracts interest to see the tolerance level. In my business, we regularly host so many groups coming from outside Bahrain into Bahrain, and they come to Bahrain with very little expectation, but they go back with a lot of takeaway, because they can't really imagine that a tiny country has so much of influence, has so much of tolerance level, has so much of coexistence. So it's a wonderful thing, and I don't think that will ever change. So we are born and raised Bahrain. It's a very interesting story for us because our parents met in Bahrain way back in 1975, and our connection to the land is so strong that our parents met here. I was born here, my brother was born here, I met my wife here, and my 2 kids are born here. So everything in our life is connected to Bahrain. My brother is a little younger than me and definitely not as gray hair as me. He also works in Bahrain. I'm very lucky to have my brother around over here. He's similar story, grew up in Bahrain, raised in Bahrain, probably a bit more open, likes to talk, likes to have a lot of fun, but he's here. And we had the fortune of visiting Pope's visit to Bahrain, and coincidentally he got picked up by Bahrain TV for a soundbite and an interview, and he said, "Why don't you go?" And I was like, "I'm not going to do it. But you have to do it. They called you." So it was a really nice moment that he got to share his feeling, you know. I mean, we are so in tune with Bahrain as our country. That's how we consider it. That's how we see it. Most of our key moments in our life have been here. I think after our wonderful childhood that we spent here, the next biggest thing was me meeting my wife here. And then the biggest thing after that was having our 2 kids born here. So we really associate Bahrain with our life, with the milestones in our life, and it represents a very big story for us. Maybe an interview or a talk right now is not enough to explain it, you know. And I think that love for Bahrain comes across even in what I do professionally. So 6 years ago I started a company called Clockwork, which was a marketing group, and it was an idea to see if certain unique concepts would work in Bahrain. And it's mainly a marketing and an events company, and we decided to open Bahrain Jazz Fest, which is as one of the projects for the company. And a lot of people, we celebrated 6 years last year. We're in our 7th year. We're 3 years away from being 10-year Jazz Festival. It's the most important jazz festival in the Middle East now. So a lot of people ask me, what's the inspiration behind the festival and how's it going, and you attract all these big things, but that's all nice. I think it's glamorous, I would say, but the real idea of the festival is a personal meaning. It's a way of me giving back to Bahrain. I come from a musical family. I learned my music here in Bahrain when I was 8, 9, 10 years old. I'm not a very good musician, but maybe God has given me strengths in other areas. And so one of those areas is hosting an event which puts Bahrain on the world map. Besides putting Bahrain on the world map, the festival gives a platform to Bahraini youth to give them opportunity which we didn't receive when we were young. And it's a way of really integrating back into Bahraini society for me personally. For me, there is no other bigger objective than to see Bahrain on the biggest platform in the world. And if I can do it in my way, maybe through my work and through my skill set and experience, then so be it. Then this is the way. So far, the journey has been extremely good. I guess I'm fortunate enough to grow up in a Bahraini society. It's making friends is not difficult at all. It's still not difficult for us because we identify a lot with Bahrain, and we identify with culture, And in many parts, our culture is now a mix of two cultures also. So it's given us some of the best memories. It still does. We still regularly meet up with our friends, and they invite us to their families, and it's always great to find that the link, the bridge. I think Bahrainis by general are unique in how they look at life, how they look at acceptance. We don't find that a lot around the world. I've traveled the world, and we can easily compare on how the acceptance levels are. The friendliness is on another level, the hospitality, the warmth, the embrace, and there's just a general friendliness of things, it's just something unique. And it's something that I think every child should grow up with, that value of acceptance, of tolerance. And I think there is no, especially for me personally, there's no better way to see it than through Bahraini society, because they are like that.
Hi, I'm Donna. I'm Jude's wife, who's the owner of Clockwork. I moved here in 2003, October. So this October, 2023 makes it 20 years. So it's been an amazing 20 years for me in Bahrain. I moved, and 3 months after I met my husband. We got married here, and we had our children here. So it's been an amazing experience for me in Bahrain. Apart from that, my first work was with the audit firm, which was actually a Bahraini audit firm. So my induction to Bahrain has been with the locals, with Bahrainis. So I started learning a little bit of Arabic, which of course I've forgotten. And I started making friends. I started getting introduction to the culture. And that's been my experience. And overall, like for me right now, I feel that Bahrain is my home. I would say that if I'm traveling, if I'm back home, I just want to get back to Bahrain. That's what my feeling about Bahrain is. And the people here are very warm, very welcoming, and it's been, as I said, the most amazing 20 years for me here. So in the last 20 years, we've been in and around Bahrain. We've seen different places. And right now my son and daughter, who's in grade 6 and 2, they have their projects, which is Bahrain geography projects. So we have to stick pictures and make collages. So I keep telling them, so this is the places where I've been. This is what we've done. We've gone there before with families. So it's time now to take them and show them around. So it's been amazing, and in terms of having friends, Bahraini friends have been to weddings and engagement parties, understood the culture. And what I understand is family is the core value for Bahrainis, and which of course we have it as well, coming from India. So we relate to that. We've got a lot of things in common, like friendship, family, loyalty. All this I think is the background of the Bahraini culture and traditions and things like that. So I feel that it's been very easy for me to settle here, and being working in other GCC countries and living there, I think this place has been the best so far for me. I love food. We are a foodie family. We just love the Bahraini tikkas, the coffee, the tea, the halwas. In fact, we were just recently talking about how the halwa of Bahrain was originated, how the fisher folks would travel in the seas, and they would be away from homes and they couldn't take food with them. So all this, and they just took halwa with them. This is what I learned. So we have a lot of interest in food, and I think we have Bahraini food most of the time. I remember, like I had two colleagues in two different times. One of them had an Indian theme party, Indian theme. I think it was a henna, and so basically, it was quite easy for me to, pick up some things. And of course, I bought something for her from India, back from India. And the second occasion was when my colleague from another company, she was actually going for a party which had Indian theme also. So I quickly, she borrowed some, saris and blouses and some of those tikkas and earrings. So it's been a good experience that way. Yeah, I mean, the first wedding that I attended was quite different. In our weddings, it's usually the groom and the bride is together, and it was something new for me. It's a new introduction to the culture. Actually, it was very nice, and it was nice, like a ladies' party, and we had a lot of fun. We had good food, and it was just amazing, to be around something different other than what we usually go through, Well, I mean, I think if you think about it, I knew Bahrain from a very young age because I had a lot of friends, my parents' friends working here. So, we used to get, news from them, and we knew how open Bahrain was and the culture here. And so that was one of the reasons why, my parents actually let me and my brother come to Bahrain, to look for work and to make a life and to, be successful in future. So I think from a very young age, we were aware of the environment here and how the people are and how different it is from, the other countries. And I feel like even in our current day-to-day association with people, we meet so many people across Bahrain in banks and in various walks of life, and they are very humble. They are very uniquely amazing to us as well. I think this is one of the biggest and the best decision that I've made, that moving to Bahrain.
So I come from a marketing background, and something that I've always wanted to be in, and I've been fortunate enough to work in a time when it was considered like a golden period for marketing and advertising in Bahrain. But the world changes, and everything changes with that dynamic. And unfortunately, the whole world has been through a very rough time, I would say, in the last maybe 15 years. And it's very challenging moments, and Bahrain is no exception, for sure. Small country, so the risk is much higher, the impact is much heavier. But I'm always an optimist, and I like to see the opportunity in things. And if things are a bit challenging, I think we as human beings also need to get a bit creative and explore some ideas which we think could work, ideas which could have some meaning, which could have some acceptance. And that was the whole idea of us, way back in 2015, of finding out what do we do. Our industry is not in very good shape around us. The economy is not in a very good shape around us, but there has to be some opportunity somewhere, for sure. And I think today Bahrain presents that opportunity because I think geographically, for sure, we've all known that it's in the heart of the GCC. It's the gateway to all the neighboring countries around, and the openness and tolerance makes it a nice place to live in. But I think also from a business perspective, it's very important to understand what is really required. And that's a question which is not usually thought in so much detail, So when we checked it back in 2015 for a discussion, said, okay, what are we really good at? Okay, we're good at marketing, we're good at advertising, we're good at media, What else are we good at? We're okay. We're good at music. We come from a musical background. So why not try to find a common ground between all these industries and try to make entertainment a part of our business? So we have a conventional business, which is marketing and advertising and events. But let's try an unconventional addition to this, and this was the festival, you know. And ever since we did that, because it's unique, because we knew that there is going to be acceptance, due to our experience, we could understand these scenarios. We have received tremendous support, and it's unconditional support sometimes. We always want to see Bahrain at the top in what we do. So we managed to find a really sweet spot where we can position Bahrain. And this idea of doing a marketing company that has its own intellectual property around a jazz festival put us on the map. And today we're a self-sustaining company. Yes, we do depend on our clients and customers for business, but we also have an intellectual property event which also contributes to our business. And it's a growing business, and it's a unique business. And I think the niche uniqueness of this business helps us to, I think it can encourage anyone to also understand that if you really try to find something which is not done, which could have popular acceptance, anything is possible. For us, it's a journey that we don't say that every year, okay, we've had a good year. We always say that, okay, we finished a good year, now we have to make it into a better year. And when we say better year, it's not only about business, it's about having those creative ideas of pushing Bahrain to the very top through our business, through our dealings, through our network, in so many ways. And that's a learning process. All I can say is that Bahrain remains at the very core of what we do. And anything to push that idea, push that belief that we can fly the flag high for Bahrain through our work. I think that's the most important thing. It's something that we inculcate with our employees, with our staff. We make them understand what we do is actively contributing to the culture of Bahrain. It's changing the landscape of things around us. We are doing things which no other company has done. This is a fact, and we're very humble about it. You know, we're very grounded about it. For us, it's always a way, how can we make this impact bigger? So for us, it's red and white. It's always been red and white, and I don't think that could ever change for us.